It's really good to be back, and I named my talk, Technology is Not It. So that's going to be the focus for the next couple minutes. A little about myself. Before I had kids, I always thought it weird when people would show pictures of their kids because they're so happy about it. But now that I'm a parent, that's all I really care about, so I'm going to show pictures of my kids. So this is my son, Ezra. He's a mini-me. I love the guy. And he has a twin sister, and her name is Galia. And she's actually our special needs kid. She has a big liver. She's on a ventilator. And that's why I haven't been part of the symposium circuit the last couple years. Well, actually, the last 2 years. And this is really special for me because I had to beg my wife. And actually, my wife really encouraged me to do this. And so I flew out here today, and I'm flying right back after this. So that's pretty much why I've been absent. And when I say that technology is not it, I want to focus on one thing. At Liferay, we don't follow trends. We follow what makes sense. Okay? I know it's a weird phrase, but I just wanted to throw it out there. I think I made it up, or I heard it from somebody else who spoke, and then I took it as my own. But I want to show that because technology is not it for us, it's actually good for you guys. So that's my main point. So I want to show to you why we don't follow trends and why it's good for you. Now, first, why do people follow trends, right? Why do people follow the Apple keynotes? Why do people always look for the next big thing, right? The next big thing is already here, right? As Samsung would say. Why do people do that? We do that because we're looking for technology as a way of solving problems for us, as a savior for us. And we're always chasing for it because we realize that technology doesn't solve it for us, but it forces us to constantly chase. And it's very dangerous. So in Liferay, we have a mindset to not follow it. So let me give you a concrete example of how we don't follow trends, why we follow what makes sense, and why it's good for you. So a couple years ago, or actually many years ago, about 12 years ago, or 13 years ago, portals were the thing. If you went anywhere, everyone said you need portals, and here are your 10 reasons why. And then right around 2003, everyone said portals are dead. Okay? And that's right around the same time when Liferay started picking up steam. And everyone said, don't use the word portal. Use any other word but that. Portals are a bad word. And I kind of just scratched my head and said, no, I think portals still make sense, and there's actually it actually adds value, and I disagreed with them. I said, this doesn't make sense. This is a tidal wave of emotion that everyone's going through. I think we can stick with this phrase. And by 2005, Gartner did a 180-degree turn, and they had these huge, had a huge PowerPoint saying why portals are not dead, right? And I'm like, I knew that 2 years ago, but everyone else said it was dead, so anyways. So let me give you an example of why I don't think portals are dead. If you look at Facebook and you look at Salesforce, what are they really, right? One's a social network, the other is a CRM application. But at the end of the day, as you start adding users to the system, it starts to morph into a portal because people need it. So there's value in that. Here's another one. A couple of years ago, as Ruby on Rails started taking off, people kept telling me, Java is dead. You need to rewrite Liferay on Rails. Okay, or on something else. I'm like, no, I think Java has a place here. And just now, if you look, Google some articles on Twitter moving to Java and how that, from Rails to Java, and how that saved their butts and made things scalable. Again, we try to avoid trends because there's emotions that go with it, and we stick to what makes sense. Here's another one. What's a big buzzword for the day, right? SaaS, right? Software as a service. So really, if you think about it, I think that same word existed 12 years ago. They just didn't call it that. Back then, they called it an ASP, an application service provider. It's an application, they host it for you, and you don't have to deal with it, right? Ooh, big buzzword. Another one today is cloud. Well, what is it really? It's a hosting provider that provides redundancy and scalability. I mean, it's really not that different, but people love to latch onto these keywords. So how do we deal with this at Liferay, right? So back in 2000, before SaaS was a big word, we designed Liferay for what SaaS really needs, which is multi-tenancy. So if you look at how Liferay works, every table within Liferay has a company ID in it. That's basically your tenant ID. We started doing that from the very beginning. We designed for multi-tenancy because to us, that made sense, even when SaaS did not make sense. So it's good for you guys because there's stuff in Liferay now that we don't have buzzwords for in 2013, but we're probably using it because it makes sense. And in 2014, when that becomes a big buzzword, we'll go ahead and tell you how we're using it. And so we just try to stick to common sense, and it's been better for us. Here's another example. I remember one day people told me, Brian, we can't use Liferay because it has JavaScript in it. Right? JavaScript was evil. And look at the world now, right? It's a very different place. And to us, it made sense. No, we need this kind of dynamic ability. We need to use JavaScript. Another one is, if you look at how, before the web took off during the late 90s, right? What did people have? They had desktop software, right? That would talk to some system. And what is everything morphing back into now? These mobile native apps that can talk to systems, right? So all these things kind of move back and forth from a website back to having desktop software, now back to mobile. It just keeps swinging back and forth. So we constantly keep our cool, look at the trends that occur, and ensure that whatever happens, Liferay is architected in a way that is for the future. And since we cannot predict the future, all we can do is say, hey, what makes most common sense now, and it probably will work for the future. And that's why that's good for you guys. Here's another one. At Liferay, this is really dug deep into our DNA. At Liferay, we're not in it to flip it, so we'll be around. I'm not saying this just as some some powwow. It really is true. Well, we don't have any venture capital, so we don't have any outside investors that would pressure us to do short-sighted things that would, in the end, shortcut our customers. We're not going to do that. And Liferay is not a get-rich-quick scheme. We're not all trying to pull together, come up with a startup so that we can make tons of money and then get out of it and do something else that we really want. Right? Think about the number of software companies that get gobbled up, right? What happens as soon as they get gobbled up? They give what they call golden handcuffs to key employees. They're called handcuffs because those employees don't want to be there. They're golden because it represents money, right? So for Liferay, we don't have that. We don't need golden handcuffs because that's not why we're doing this. Liferay is very much a lifestyle company. We do this because we want to use it to extend certain goals. And one of those goals, my personal goals, is that I really see work as a good thing. Work itself is not evil. Of course, there's traffic. There's a bunch of stuff that makes us sweat and make us wish that there weren't bugs that and stuff like that. But work in itself is good, and we try to redeem some of that within with our employees, with our customers, and so forth. And we try to push it. And of course, we fail in many ways. But that's partly why we don't have any VC. Really, there's no exit strategy, guys. We're just here, and we're going to do this as long as we can. Another one is that we don't worship the work of our hands because pride comes before fall. See, I grew up in Silicon Valley, and I remember the dot-com days, the developers, big heads, wow, you're 20-something, you can do anything you want, you can just change the world. And there's an air and a culture of superiority amongst tech companies. It's there, okay? And I don't like it. And one of the things that helps me fight that is I look at BlackBerry, Nokia, and Microsoft. During the dot-com days, Microsoft was so powerful. I remember you could not get VC if you were doing something that Microsoft was also doing. Everyone feared Microsoft, right? And Nokia, I remember the day I watched The Matrix and Neo had that Nokia phone and he flipped it out and it flew out the window. And I said, I want that phone. And they didn't have it, so I bought the regular Nokia phone and got this piece of plastic to make my phone look like that. Right? I remember those days. And Nokia was everywhere. They owned it, right? And BlackBerry, remember when they had that little touch thing in the middle? It was like the pearl or whatever. It was so cool, right? And could anyone have imagined how quickly things changed in the course of 10 years? And who are the titans today that seem, impossible? Like it seems like they would never fall, right? Google, right? They just passed $1,000 a share or something. Facebook and Apple. And what I realize is, wow, these titans from before no longer exist or are dying, and I see titans now. So there's no place for pride here at Liferay. And let me give you another angle to show you what I mean. There's a proverb in American business called "customers are always right," and you can follow that in one sense. You just follow it blindly and say, "Yes, customer is always right," and you can curse them behind your back, right? Or you could really look at how people exist, how these big companies rise and fall, and it gives you an air of humility, and it forces you to listen to other human beings. And that's a unique attribute that we really try to push here at Liferay, so that when customers tell us something, we don't just say, okay, let's listen because customers are always right. We don't do it for that reason. We do it for the reason because, hey, we know we're not all that. Okay? And even if we were all that, look at where they end up. So let's humble ourselves and let's listen to other people. Here's another story that I probably shouldn't share, but I don't care. I'll just share it anyways. So earlier on, when I still did sales, we were doing a combined sales pitch with another open source company to do with some financial company. Anyways, so we're there, and me and Mike Young are on IM, and then one of the sales guys and their C-level is like pitching it to a client, and over the phone or over the web screen sharing, everyone's really nice, very polished, very professional. In the background, we're chatting with each other, and the sales guy is just ripping his own CEO or whatever, and then ripping the customers. I'm like, oh, Mike Young and I had such a distaste for it. And part of it happens when you build something and you think you're awesome because of it. And so that's something that we really try to push out. And that's good for you because it means we'll listen to you. And we won't worship technology. So another one is related to this is this. Since we first started, because we realized that no matter how hard we try, we really can't change the world, it forces us to take a break every week. So every week, we take a break. And as a result, we have healthier lives. I mean, work-life balance, right? That's a buzzword too. And by having healthier lives, our employees are happier. I try not to push them in a way that's negative. I push them in a positive way, a way a coach would push Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan to, work out harder, but not in a way like a despotic ruler would do it. We don't do that. And so it gives us a healthier set of employees. And what does that do? It's healthier for you guys as our customers. Here's another one. We're a small company, and there are giants in the land. So smallness, like, how big is Liferay? I don't know, maybe 400, 300, 500 employees. I try not to count. Somewhere between 300 to 500. And because and our competitors, how big are they? I don't know. IBM, how many employees do they have? I don't think they give out an official count, but it's like a couple 100,000, right? So we're tiny, right, compared to them. So smallness forces us to focus on what is actually important. So have you ever read the David and Goliath story? Goliath is this huge 9-foot guy with a spearhead that's like, I think it's like 9 pounds. It's like a bowling ball. And he's going against this, young Jewish kid. But he has a slingshot versus armor. And it's kind of like going against a giant with a gun. So he didn't have certain things, but he had other things. And he focused specifically on what he needed. So it forces us to focus. So let me give you an example of how we did that. So at one point in time, we said, look, we don't need real estate. We just need a group of developers who can meet in the same room and develop efficiently. Where can we find space? Oh, my church happens to have space. So and they only use it on the weekends and maybe Friday nights and Wednesday nights. So why don't we use it during the week? So we rented it from them for very cheap, and we could hang out there and work, and we had internet, and so forth. And Cisco at the time was looking for a developer network. And they found us on the internet, the website looked cool, so they're like, wow, these guys look legit. So let's go meet them. We're like, fine, meet us. And I remember we thought, should we rent out a hotel room? We're meeting here, it might look kind of sketchy. Well, like, that's okay, let's just invite them. So they came over, and they needed to use restroom, so I'm there in the restroom with them, and I could see the fear in their eyes. They're like, and later on, they validated to me saying how scared they were, because they're like, oh man, we just walked into something horrible, this is not gonna work. And we went upstairs. I remember Mycon was there too. And we're there, and we present to them what they're trying to build and why Liferay is the best fit. In less than an hour, they were absolutely convinced that we were the best people and we had the best product for their need, even though we didn't have all the other stuff that other companies had. So that's what I mean by focusing. So we forget the armor, we just focus on the slingshot, and we look at what we actually need to do to accomplish our goal. And I want to thank you guys for being a part of Liferay. When my mom asks me, like, what is Liferay? I try to explain it to her, but she's not very technically competent, so it's hard to get that point across. And I realized, hey, maybe I shouldn't be getting maybe I shouldn't try to explain to her what a portal, what a framework, what web technologies do. Maybe I should just avoid that, right? I would explain it differently. To me, Liferay is not just a product. It's much more than that. It's an ecosystem. And part of that ecosystem is, of course, our employees, and of course, the community, right? And of course, our customers. And I want to thank each of you guys for investing in Liferay, for making it possible so that I could fly out here today and share with you guys what matters to us as an organization. And I want to thank you for that investment. For partners as well, who serve in niches that we could never serve in, and is a front for a lot of our customers. I want to thank all of you guys and for being part of the Liferay family. And I hope that the ethos, the DNA that we have, that as we try to instill these values amongst our employees and the people we interact with, that it will bubble out to you. And the fact that technology is not it for us, will never satisfy the deepest desires of our hearts, would be a benefit and be of good to you. And that's all I have. Once again, guys, thank you for being part of the Liferay family. We really value each and every one of your investment in this. You coming out here, taking time, means a lot to us. Thank you. We're here to serve you. We're here to listen to your needs and using Liferay, and we're going to do our best to serve you guys. Thank you very much, guys.